स्वागत छ दर्शकबिन। दक्षिण एशियाली क्षेत्रीय सहयोग संगठन सार्क को 18औं शिखर सम्मेलन, बाराको गढीमाई मेला, जनकपुरको विवाह पञ्चमी लगायतका खबरहरूको विशेष साप्ताहिक प्रस्तुति लाइभ विशेष कभरेजमा छौं हामी। र अहिले भने पालो भएको छ सार्क बहसको। सार्क बहसमा हामीसँग आज छलफल गर्न स्टुडियोमा हुनुहुन्छ राम उपेन्द्र दास। राम उपेन्द्र दास उहाँ इन्डियाको रिसर्च एन्ड इन्फर्मेसन सिस्टम फर डेभलपिङ कन्ट्रिज RIS का प्रोफेसर इकोनोमिक्स हुनुहुन्छ। RIS इन्डियाको इकोनोमिक इस्युजहरूको थिङ्क ट्याङ्कको रूपमा काम गर्दछ। राम सर, वेलकम टु शो।
थ्याङ्क यू, धन्यवाद।
Ram sir, SAARC 18th conference has begun in Nepal. It's kicked off from today with the slogan that deeper integration for peace and prosperity. Deeper integration for peace and prosperity, this phrase that has been used as a slogan in this SAARC. Do you think the peace and the prosperities are the two mutual complementary and supplementary things for the development in any region? How it can be achieved?
Well, that's a very good question. In fact, peace and prosperity are interlinked. A peaceful region, say in South Asia, can create conducive environment for greater economic activities that can lead to prosperity. Therefore, peace can contribute to prosperity. But we can look at the thing from a different perspective also, which we call as reverse causality, whereby rather than waiting for peace to descend in the region, we create higher level of economic activities that make the region more prosperous. And when educated youth of the region finds more productive employment pursuits generated by trade, investment, etc., and they become more prosperous in terms of income and living standards, not only that their poverty is reduced, but they also become more peaceful, because that gives some sense of contentment, and they would not like to go to unfair means of earning their livelihoods. Therefore, efforts to create a region which is seamless in terms of trade in goods, trade in services, investment and professional flows within the region, which creates prosperity, can be peace creating. And therefore, we feel that while peace can create prosperity, right now we should be focusing along with that prosperity creating peace. And you have asked this question. In fact, I brought this report. This is a report brought out by my institution, Research and Information System.
It was
released yesterday, in fact, here in Kathmandu. It talks about economic integration for peace creating prosperity. And this is what we focus on, because there is a lot of myth which surrounds South Asian economic integration, and we need to provide a balanced perspective and a little more positive perspective towards South Asian economic integration. I mean, just as our Prime Minister today mentioned, that it is very important that we move away from cynicism and skepticism to a more optimistic way of looking at South Asian economic integration process.
Yes, sir, but actually the peace and the prosperity is a very simple to, it sounds very better, but this is the only one challenging thing in South Asia. Politically, you can confuse anyone with your language, with your political messages, but what is the prerequisite for the peace is that you need to grow a trade at large. South Asia lacks the trade in between trades and the opportunities that are missing for the South Asian within the South Asia. Without the employment, without the livelihood, good livelihood conditions, how peace can be restored? Can we expect a peace with the empty stomachs?
Again, very good question. But my understanding of intra-regional trade in SAARC is a little different.
It is shown if you go through the World Bank data or whatever WTO data or a SAFTA data, it is said that there is a 4.5% trade. But there are so many illegal trades in the same time is going. So can you reflect the true picture on this?
Yes, it is very important that we see what is in reality rather than, as someone has said, we do not see things as they are, but we see them as we are. Let me give you some insights into intra-regional trade. SAFTA, which is a free trade agreement, came into being in 2004 when it was signed. It was implemented in 2006. The intra-SAARC trade was $10 billion in 2006. Today, it is $22 billion. Now, today when I say it is 2012 figures from the same sources that you mentioned. Now, in 6 years' time, the trade has doubled. And it is not a very slow process. I mean, in 6 years, if you can double intra-SAARC trade from $10 billion to $22 billion, it is more than 100% rate of growth in 6 years. And if you divide by 6, it comes to around 20% per annum growth rate. It's a very fast pace of trade integration in South Asia. So, South Asia is slow is not that correct. If you add, as you very rightly said, the informal trade figures, there are estimates to suggest that it is twice or thrice of the official trade figures. So, if official trade is $22 billion and unofficial trade, even if we take by any conservative measures as double, then 44 billion of informal and 22 billion of formal adds to 66 billion US dollars of trade as of now. Now, this is not a small figure. And this is something which is a more balanced perspective, because informal trade also, though it should be made formal, but informal trade actually reflects natural complementarities that exist in the region. If these complementarities do not exist, this trade will not take place. So, my simple issue with those who feel that intra-regional trade is low and also slow is not correct. And one more point, when you say SAARC, intra-SAARC trade is 4-5% of their total trade with the rest of the world, it's a small figure. You need to, this is a figure which is an average figure of intra-SAARC trade. If you see individual countries figure, you see intra-regional trade of Nepal with SAARC, of Bhutan with SAARC, of Afghanistan with SAARC, of Sri Lanka with SAARC. You will find for Bhutan 90% or more than 90% of trade is with SAARC. For Nepal more than 60% trade is with SAARC. When you take average, because Bangladesh actually has a very small share, India also has a, so when you pool all these countries together, the numerator is small and denominator becomes big, because India's trade with the rest of the world is very high, and that is why the average figure is so small. Well, it is a statistical anomaly and which people don't understand. And in this sense, SAARC is not the least integrated region in terms of trade, which does not mean that we do not have enormous potential which remains to be tapped. And we should do everything to tap that.
Well, thank you, sir, for highlighting this different type of angle, putting this different type of angle and analyzing the putting differently this intra-trade SAARC. But sir, I came to know from very reliable sources that you are one of the think tank behind the Modi ji's economic agenda team. Modi ji is Indian Prime Minister. Modi is coming up with the very hopes, is promising a lot. So what should be the role of India within the SAARC to promote trade, intra-trade, promote overall intra-trade, SAARC trade, not only the bilateral, since India is till now doing a bilateral negotiations and India is very good enough to make this bilateral good one.
Okay, first of all, see, my think tank is a think tank which is an autonomous research institution in India. We work very closely with our government, different ministries and including Prime Minister's office. But we cannot say that our think tank is behind Modi ji's economic agenda.
That is my point.
Well, I mean, I would not say more than that. I think Prime Minister Modi has his own thinking, which is often reflected in his own speeches. But at the same time, yes, I mean, our reports, our inputs do, find places in the policy making in India. Now, having said that, I think India's role in South Asia is very crucial. And the kind of bilateral initiatives that the new government has taken in recent times and even yesterday by Prime Minister, this only suggests that there is a policy consensus in India that we have to play our role in the region, and we have to play more business friendly and economically constructive role where we believe in shared prosperity. And this is what you would see getting evident day by day when our government interacts at the bilateral level with different SAARC leaders, and also when they decide something collectively. But I am very sure that India has a very important role to play in South Asia, and India, I think, is ready to play that role. But let me add one insight into this. There is a policy dilemma. On one hand, India is looked up to play a larger role in the South Asian economic integration affairs, which is expected, and it should be expected that way. At the same time, if India tries to do more in the region, very often the big brother syndrome sets into other countries in the region. In fact, SAARC, as people say, was an institution which was formed by other countries so that they could engage with India collectively.
It is an Indian prospect of looking at SAARC.
Yes. Now, I have been saying, or we have been saying, our research shows that you cannot wish away India's role in SAARC. That is one. At the same time, I do not know if anybody can have any evidence where India would not play that role which is constructive, positive and balanced. So, I think India's commitments towards South Asia is there, and India sometimes resists doing something beyond a point because that may be seen or viewed or perceived with some degree of apprehension. And this policy dilemma one has to tackle. I think India is ready to play the role, but at the same time, nobody should feel apprehensive about that.
Well, Ram sir, these are the prescriptions that you have produced right now is a prescriptions which has to deal with the economic solutions. But we need in South Asia the problems. There are two problems. One is a political, another is a economical issues. So the prescription should be in a two manner as well. So do you think is it possible keeping Jammu and Kashmir issues at the same level? Same issues. There are so many problems related with the rivers, related with the borders in Nepal. There are so many issues related with the Bihari issues with the Bangladesh and India, and border issues with the Bangladesh as well and other countries as well. How this can be how this should be handled by India in future, so that the political things can be separated from the economical things. It is very simple to say. It is very simple to announce that we need to go think about economic prosperity, but it is very difficult to manage the political hurdles for the prosperity.
Well, I have a strong intuitive feeling that difficult political problems can perhaps be resolved. You know, if Berlin Wall can collapse and Europe, which fought 2 world wars, could integrate, why is it that other countries cannot? I am a very optimistic person in terms of political issues getting resolved, and we should not wait for political issues to get resolved. As I said, we should not wait for peace to descend in the region, then we talk about prosperity, economic prosperity. I think we will have to go to a non-materialistic spiritual level to understand what is the way to achieve material prosperity, and that is when we look at the world by looking at in an inclusive and objective manner. Now, if our intentions are pure to improve the economic welfare of people, through creating employment opportunities so that they have better quality of life in the region, and they do not go to unpeaceful means to earn their livelihoods. What is wrong in that? I mean, how can politics reject that? That is my question. So I think what we are trying to argue is we should integrate economically, and by the positive spillover effects of trade in goods, trade in services, investments, connectivity, etc., that will create a conducive environment through regional economic integration, whereby many of the complicated political problems can also be solved.
Well, sir, again, my next question is, as an economist, as a business journalist, we can prescribe a lot of a prescription for regarding this economic angles. But what is the missing in South Asia is the belongingness. And this is one tragedy. South Asians are not busy with this SAARC thing. They are not interconnected with this SAARC thing. There are a lot of things missing in South Asian SAARC issues. And the major is the belongingness. Right now, Kathmandu is enjoying a SAARC. Calcutta is missing SAARC. It's a scene, sir. Nobody is interested in SAARC news at all. So how can it be created a conducive environment where the South Asian people initially started thinking about South Asia, and the spirit of being South Asian can be created?
I think you have touched the core of one of the very important problems. And in my view, it is high time that South Asia, alongside economic integration initiative, also makes each person think beyond a national or with a nationality as a regional identity. And for that, I feel that there is no paucity of ideas, but there is poverty of ideas. Not having ideas
quite sounds like Narendra Modi's
no.
word.
What I'm trying to say is there are very good ideas. Let me highlight one. There is already, a SAARC anthem, which you people know better, and I know the creator of that. Why can't we have, along with our national anthems, a SAARC anthem, so that our national identities can also have regional identities? Why can't we have that?
That is what I want to insist.
This is what I am saying, that we do not have paucity of ideas, we have poverty of ideas.
SAARC leaders are not working with the people's level, but they are having a summit. Although I am not against the summit, but these summits are more likely a picnic or a retreat. These are not making a good outcomes.
No, I would not say that. Again, our report has highlighted that you may not believe that SAARC, when compared to European Union, has been much faster to achieve milestones. SAARC, in terms of economic integration, has been actually converging to some of the EU levels. SAARC Trade in Services Agreement came into being in 2010, whereas it was only in 2006 that EU brought trade in services into its agenda. So if there is a graph which shows that we are very fast, and actually we are almost achieving South Asian Economic Union, because trade in services also allows for freer flow of capital and labor in specialized services. So we are there, but we have the habit of not recognizing what we have done. So SAARC is not just about retreats. Leaders have done commendable job, and we should rejoice the successes and the milestones achieved until now, while the journey is still very long. Now, until you reach your destination, the final destination, if you are in the process of reaching that destination, can't we be feeling happy about that? I think the mindset of people in SAARC is to do SAARC bashing and celebrate other regional groupings successes, whereas our analysis suggests that SAARC has done a lot. It has reasons to rejoice while tackling the challenges ahead, and also learning from the failures of many other regional groupings. And one of the ways we can bind the people of SAARC is through these innovative ideas like adopting a SAARC anthem.
Well, I have all the respect to your argument regarding this SAARC and this optimism that you have shown for the SAARC, but I try to show you another dimension of the SAARC countries. So India is desperately thinking of joining ASEAN as well as BRICS. India is busy with away from the SAARC. India is not interested to do business within the SAARC, but India's main interest is to do business with the larger body. That is one. Nepal is again busy with BIMSTEC and other. Pakistan is also busy with other FTAs. So within the SAARC, all countries are again busy with the other FTAs, other ideas, as well as the bilateral negotiations. And these are caught crushing cuts, this SAARC itself and the SAFTA. So we are missing a trade within the SAARC, and again, all the countries within the SAARC are, when it comes to the export, these are the competing nations rather than supplementing nations. We produce the same things naturally or artificially, mechanically. So this is also one part.
See,
would you like to say anything on this?
See, these parallel processes are not substitutes. It is very much consistent with a framework where one country engages with another set of countries in South Asian region. It also integrates with East Asian region. Same country can be, doing things which are of economic significance in BRICS. Pakistan can integrate with other regions. There is no contradiction in this. And that is why, because of no contradiction in this, that is why SAARC is important to different countries in different ways. So, for instance, for Nepal, in terms of share of its trade, SAARC is very important. For Bhutan, in terms of share, it is very important. For Sri Lanka, in terms of growth rate, it is very important. For India, it is important in terms of volume, because India's volume of trade is very high. So, different countries have different dimensions of importance in SAARC, and we need to understand that these can coexist with each country's other economic engagements with other countries. There is no contradiction, because this has been a proven fact where a particular country can engage simultaneously with other countries and regional groupings by signing free trade agreements and other economic cooperation agreements. The literature, the experience, the data suggests that this crisscrossing was apprehended to be a bottleneck. It is no longer so. And that is why today European Union and US are actually doing what is called as trade and investment, transatlantic trade and investment partnership. US is also doing Trans-Pacific Partnership. In ASEAN +6 framework, countries are trying to cooperate in Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP agreement. I think this crisscrossing used to be some ghost which has lingered on in people's minds. It is not true today in the age of information technology usage, where a particular country's various FTAs create complications. Yes. Because there are softwares, there are Excel sheets in which you can compare which FTA you want to use as a business person, and you can do that. I mean, there is no problem in having multiple FTAs. They don't contradict with each other.
And I don't think what is this WTO buddies in Geneva are thinking about this. They may be also these FTAs are also challenging the WTO.
No, in fact, WTO and RTs are complementary processes.
But
I will tell you why.
Practically, they are challenging.
No. The WTO negotiations on tariffs, they are all about bound tariff negotiations. Yes. Whereas in FTAs, the negotiations are about actual tariff negotiations, where applied tariff negotiations, where actual trade flows actually at the applied tariff, and these are the negotiations in FTA. So, WTO can succeed in terms of bound tariff negotiations, and FTAs can succeed and coexist in terms of applied tariff negotiations on which actual trade flows. So, these are two different worlds which complement each other. Similarly, like in trade in services, the GATS framework is there, which is used in regional agreements to give each other market access in different services for trade in a GATS plus framework. So, WTO provides a very good template, and reinforces regional integration process, and the experiences that a country like Nepal or Bhutan or India would gain in terms of FTAs that are helpful in WTO negotiations.
At the end of the program, we don't have a very we have a very limited time. So I want to ask you major questions regarding this ongoing SAARC. Do you think it will be gonna a fruitful summit? Can we come up with the resolutions which are practically possible resolutions? Every time, whenever the SAARC is run or SAARC goes, there will be so many commitments around there, which are mission impossibles again. So we need a commitments which are possibles. So do you think this SAARC going to be a very make a meaningful commitments?
I think by listening to leaders, I already get the sense that the leaders are very committed to take the SAARC process forward by being together, and couple of agreements that are going to be, that are there this time in SAARC, like motor vehicles agreement, regional railways and energy cooperation. I think these are very substantive outcomes. But most importantly, I must highlight that in such summits and in retreats, a lot of groundwork is done, which does not get reflected in the declaration of the same summit possibly. The process that gets initiated in one SAARC summit perhaps finds its reflection after 2, 3, 5 years time. And therefore, I think apart from these visible agreements on these three very important dimensions and a positive tone towards the entire process, I think the summit itself taking place would break new grounds of realities in terms of prosperity and peace through economic integration in the region, which perhaps will be visible after a few years in other SAARC summits.
Thank you, sir. Let's hope SAARC will come up with the tangible things. Thank you so much for providing time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
हस्त दर्शकवृन्द, लाइभ खबर विशेष कभरेजमा SAARC बहसको अहिलेको समय यति नै। हामीसँगै रहनुहोला।